listening to the Canadian Destroyer Wrestling Podcast with your host, the OatzMealHero on YouTube.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Canadian Destroyer Wrestling Podcast with your host, the OatzMealHero, right here on youtube.ca or .com, depending which one you typed in, and it also depends on where you live. So, I am your host, the OatzMealHero, and I have been absent for quite some time. There's been this great thing called life that got in the way, so I wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to, and one of the things I wanted to do was actually to do this podcast, but like I said, life kind of interfered. It kind of happened, and let's just say I wasn't really good at managing time, so I know for a fact I did miss quite a bit of things, but I assure you from here on out I will try my best to keep up with all the latest and greatest in wrestling news, rumors, as well as shows and pay-per-view reviews. Having said that, last night, June 19th, 2016, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view did happen. It happened in Las Vegas, Nevada. We did have a really good kickoff show, starting off with the Golden Truth against Zango. Something along the terms of that. So leading up to this, the Golden Truth has not picked up a win for quite some time, ever since the team was formed. It does happen to be a pretty promising team. With the help of a tanning machine, Goldust was able to pick up the victory over a sunburned Fandango and Tyler Breeze. This match it wasn't really a back and forth match. It was mostly one-sided, just due to the fact that not everybody, but it was just due to the fact that Tyler Breeze and Fandango suffered really severe burns, and R-Truth and Goldust played on that, slapping them in the chest, slapping them in the back, basically wherever they were burned or exposed, which was like basically everywhere. They did expose that, and that's how they did pick up the victory. The entrances was actually pretty funny watching them struggle, take off their ring gear, and just operating in general. It was quite funny, quite entertaining. I honestly think it should have made its way to the pay-per-view. Maybe. It was hilarious. I honestly thought, you know what, no, let's just keep it on the kickoff show. It did make it for a pretty good kickoff starting match, in my personal opinion. The Lucha Dragons ended up defeating the Dudley Boys, which I don't understand. If they claim to be so declarated, why did they keep losing? Probably they did pick up a win long time ago, back in April. It wasn't that long if you really think about it, and they've been capitalized on it. This match was back and forth. Lucha Dragons obviously showing off their aerial tactics, and the Dudley Boys were basically showcasing their ground and pound style of wrestling. But in the end, it was the Selena Del Sol and the Swanton Bomb, and Sin Cara did pick up the victory for the Lucha Dragons. Starting off the kickoff show, we did have the WWE Tag Team Champions defended against Enzo Amore and Big Cass, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and the Von Villains. Basically started off with the whole verbal assault, which from Enzo, of course, go figure, and basically ended off with the New Day making their way down, and the New Day actually made a little quick jab to the Bullet Club Elite, saying that they were the elite team of the WWE. They were the elite team. If you don't know, Nick and Matt Jackson and Kenny Omega make up the elite of the Bullet Club, and they always do take jabs at the New Day. If this ever happens, I think a lot of people would actually lose their mind and lose their shit. But to start off the pay-per-view, it was actually a really good choice to start off with this, because it was back and forth action. It broke down. You saw aerial moves from everybody. You've seen everybody, so not everybody, but you've seen Big Cass throw Enzo straight to everybody like he always does, just throws them over the top rope and just using them as a weapon, which is I find pretty cool. There was even a lot of close calls in the match, even at one point in time where the Von Villains looked like they were going to win, and Carl Anderson broke that up. But in the end, it was actually the New Day who picked up the victory and the 1-2-3. So that was actually pretty good. That was pretty cool. I'd like to see that happen again, and then maybe another fatal 4-way match, or probably even a one-on-one or triple threat. Even if they decide to bring back all these teams again for the next pay-per-view or even for SummerSlam, I don't think I would say no. I would probably be highly entertained from this guy here. The Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler match, we've seen it numerous times over the months with them in the kickoff show. To be honest with you, the kickoff show, I don't think it was a really good decision to put them in the kickoff show. Personally, I believe that they are a little bit better than this. They deserve to be on the main show, and finally somebody was listening. Lo and behold, They were put on the main show. It wasn't boring, pretty entertaining. Obviously, you have the Lone Wolf, who was pretty much dominant throughout the whole entire match. Ziggler, being as resilient as he is, couldn't hold on and caught himself in the end of days, having Corbin declared the winner of the match. I hope this is a rivalry that they can build up some way somehow, because it would be actually a little bit interesting to see both of them. You do have the veteran Ziggler versus the rookie of the new era Baron Corbin, and the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So yeah, this will be, if they can find a way to extend this feud, I think this feud has a little bit of potential. But I have to admit that the matches what they've had in the pre-shows I thought was a little bit better than the quality of the match what we got in the pay-per-view. Apollo Crews versus Sheamus, another new era guy versus the old school dude. I guess you could call him old school, whatever you want to call him. Regardless, he's not new era. Sheamus, really good match, back and forth. You have Sheamus, who once again does showcase his power. He carried the match very well. This was a really well put together match, at least I thought so. This should last for quite some time. I think it should last for quite some time personally. There should not be any issues with this at all if done correctly. So now we have Apollo Crews, who I guess was playing possum after when Sheamus put him in white noise and kicked out, and rolled up Sheamus to get the 1-2-3 victory over him, and Sheamus was a little irate. Like I said, this is a rivalry which could possibly play throughout the summer, and which would make for a really good rivalry as well too. We did see the women's champion team up with Dana Brooke, I'm talking about Charlotte of course, versus Natalya and Becky Lynch. Now personally, I'm all about the Divas Revolution, the stuff what they're doing with the Divas division. I think it's done very, very, very well. But this match, oh boy, how can I put this? This match should have been split into two. I would have liked to see a rematch between Charlotte and Natalya. I would have liked to seen a match between Dana Brooke and Becky Lynch, because separately they're great. Together, I don't know. Well, whatever it may be. The match was back and forth. I think they even rushed Dana Brooke to the main roster a little bit too quickly. Personally, I did like her on NXT, but I don't like what they're doing with her right now. She's not a lackey. I never thought of her as a lackey, which I still find kind of weird to even call her a lackey. But regardless, back and forth match. Even one point in time at the end of the match where Natalya did put Charlotte in the sharpshooter, and Dana did break it up, and Becky came in, and then Becky was thrown into Natalya, and somebody scored a pinfall over Becky, and Natalya at the end of the match snapped and beat up Becky Lynch. Now this might end up being a really good rivalry throughout the summer, don't you think? Becky Lynch, who have always said that she should never be underestimated, she's a really good wrestler, and she really is. To have somebody with the caliber and prowess of Natalya to possibly feud to build up the status of Becky Lynch is genius. Whoever came up with this is perfect. I'm also hoping for a turn from Dana Brooke to Charlotte. You know, in real life, these two are like the best of friends, but I still want to see Dana Brooke face Charlotte. I think that would have been great. I know in one past Raw, it looked like that Dana Brooke came to her senses and was sliding away from Charlotte, and it never happened. She ended up attacking Natalya and Becky Lynch. To be honest, maybe down the road that could possibly happen. I think I would see that happening if Charlotte actually did drop the belt to Sasha Banks at SummerSlam. Then she needs someone to blame, and then that's probably how it would all start. The AJ Styles versus John Cena match, which was one of the matches I was actually looking forward to. Personally, I would never have put it in a Money in the Bank match or pay-per-view. I wouldn't know. I just couldn't. But it was nice. It was a nice treat. Like, it would need to be a part of like the big four pay-per-views. Like, you know, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. I would have put that match inside there. Regardless, you still got a really good classic match. AJ Styles said that he was going to run circles around John Cena, and that's exactly what he did. He did run circles around John Cena. He did showcase his aerial tactics and aerial moves over John Cena. John Cena did showcase his power, which he does all the time. It was still a very good match, and I would not mind seeing a second or third or fourth or fifth match between these two guys here. This was well put together. I did thoroughly enjoy it. Now there was one. Now for those who didn't really watch it, there was a referee knockdown. You had Gallows and Anderson who did come out and put the Magic Killer on Cena, and AJ Styles did pick up the pinfall victory, not knowing what was going on he was just dragged over the body of Cena. It was still a really good match. Like I said, you'll definitely enjoy this match. I did definitely enjoy this match. It was very well put together. I did enjoy it. The Money in the Bank match. See, I always thought they would have started off the Money in the Bank pay-per-view with the Money in the Bank match. They've done that for quite some time now. I'm not going to say this was the best Money in the Bank match that they put together, but it was still good. You did have a couple of serious spots from them. You did have Kevin Owens, who had he ran Rickshaw in that match. Like, he was very good for him. Very good. Cesaro, very good. Like, everybody in the match was typically, it was great. It was good. But you still can't compete to the Money in the Bank with, I think it was 2011 or 2012 in that match there. That was probably the best Money in the Bank match ever. You know, that Money in the Bank will happen in Chicago. That one, I still thought that was the best one, hands down, to date. Regardless, you had Dean Ambrose, who did climb the ladder successfully to obtain the briefcase, and we now call him Mr. Money in the Bank. After that, we did see the United States Championship on the line with Rusev versus Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil, he did have his sons and daughter there. You know, it being Father's Day, what a great way to celebrate that by watching Daddy wrestle. It was actually a really good match. I did like it. There was a couple boring spots to it, but it picked up really quickly. The best part of this match, at least I thought, is when they were meeting. So when they went outside and they were running around the ring, and then all of a sudden they just close on each other like it's two Mack trucks just boom, just together. And I thought it was a really good and well done, because everyone was just like, oh, and that's the reaction you should get. It was just, oh, it wasn't the big guy versus the little guy or whatever it may be. It was just straight up power versus power, who was going to be the strongest one, who was the strongest one. It made for really good TV. I hope they actually extend this, and I hope Titus O'Neil actually does win the United States belt. But having said that, if you didn't figure it out already, Rusev did come out the winner by putting Titus O'Neil in the accolade and even taunting his sons outside of the ring and his daughter outside of the ring. What a douche. But yeah, it wasn't a long match. It was just really weird to see that match put where it was. Like, I mean, this was a match prelude to the World Heavyweight Championship match, but regardless, I would have started off the pay-per-view with this match, perhaps, or maybe even put it after the Tag Team Championship match. But regardless, it was still a good match. I liked it. It does have a lot of potential. If done correctly, you can actually have this run till SummerSlam and actually have Titus O'Neil pick up the victory and eventually the belt from that. Now, having said that, World Heavyweight Championship belt on the line, we have the architect Seth Rollins, the man who said he's never lost the belt. And it is true, he did not lose it. He had to forfeit it due to injury. Then Roman Reigns, the man who they put through hell, fire, and brimstone and crucified the living crap out of him everywhere he goes, who's clearly proven the point that he is the man. They could boo as much as they want to, but let's call a spade a spade. Dude has been shit on many times, and he has proven time and time again why he is the top dog. I'm not saying I like him as a wrestler, but I did like the way how they built him. Even though they did build him the correct way, I'm not gonna say the correct way, but the proper way of doing it, you know, making him lose. Like, the best thing that ever happened to him losing the Royal Rumble, that was perfect. Triple H being the top guy, taking the belt away from him, and then having a showdown there at WrestleMania was perfect, and that came full circle. Now, in order for Roman to validate his championship, he needed to beat the architect Seth Rollins, and surprisingly enough, he did not. The match was back and forth. It was good. Rollins looks like he has not missed a step at all, and it was actually the first time he was back in the ring in a match after the surgery. But yeah, he did, like I said, he never missed a step. He never missed a beat. He was really performed very well. Did the same spots. He didn't tone down anything. Let's just say he went the same speed where he left off at. He did well. So he ended up one time actually pedigreeing Roman in the middle of a spear. I actually caught him and pedigreed him, which I thought that was nuts. I thought it was crazy. That's probably like the best spot of the night. So having said that, after 2 pedigrees later, Seth Rollins did become WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I can't call it for the second time, but maybe to continue his reign the first time, because since he never technically lost it, but in the record books it is shown that this is his second reign. Now, that did not last very long due to the fact that Mr. Money in the Bank, you heard his music hit, Seth Rollins was ready. He was looking at the entrance, but Dean Ambrose, as smart as he is, because everyone calls him a lunatic and everyone thinks that he's crazy, he is actually smarter. He came from the back, hit the briefcase on top of his melon, and cashed it right in. Was he successful? Yes, he was. The bell rung. Seth Rollins tried to protest it. It wasn't going to happen. Dirty deeds. 1, 2, 3. that WWE Championship now belongs to the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose, and is property of the Ambrose Asylum. So I'm very curious to see how this title reign will play out. What's going to happen? Who's going to get a rematch first? Will it be Roman Reigns or will it be Seth Rollins? Technically, it probably should be Seth Rollins first, and after that, Roman Reigns. But to see all three members of the Shield actually cycle through all the belts, or not cycle through all the belts, but to cycle the World Heavyweight Championship belt that night, that was a really good thing and a big part of history. Ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea what you just witnessed last night, and I am very curious to see how this is going to play out for SummerSlam. Very curious to see. Well, that was it. They said it was the greatest Money in the Bank pay-per-view in history. To be perfectly honest with you, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. Like, they hyped it up way too much. For them overhyping it, it should have been a little bit better. But regardless, it was still a good pay-per-view overall. They probably should have revised the match, but if there were a little bit more spots in the pay-per-view in general, it still would have been great. It's not the end of the world. Let's see what happens on Raw. Let's see what happens on SmackDown. Let's see what happens on the next pay-per-view, which is Battleground in July. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Your rundown, your review of Money in the Bank, courtesy of the OatzMealHero, representing the Canadian Destroyer Wrestling Podcast. I will be back soon with another review for you, or maybe even rumors. Let's see what happens throughout this week, because we do actually have the starting of the World Cruiserweight Classic, courtesy of the WWE. So maybe we'll get some news, maybe we'll get some results, maybe they'll broadcast it. Let's find out. Let's see. Like I said, this week should be a really interesting week. So that is it. I'm your host, the OatzMealHero. This is the Canadian Destroyer Wrestling Podcast, right here on youtube.ca or .com, depending on where you are. Have a good night, guys. Later. And also remember, everything else is just a sunset flip powerbomb. Canadian Destroyer Wrestling Podcast.
You're listening to the Canadian Destroyer Wrestling Podcast with your host, the OatzMealHero on YouTube.